Jason, do you have
Yummy.
contact information for Chris O'Brien?
I do have his cell phone
Cell
number.
phone? Maybe we can check if he's almost here.
I ask you to repeat.
Yeah.
Give me.
That would be good.
I did it this morning.
And with Chris.
Thank you for the agenda.
Popped in and out.
Ooh, that is kind of in my eyes. I'll just move over a little bit. I'll just shift.
I'm just trying to get this set up and then we can turn it off.
Huh, it was there a minute ago.
Was it on?
Yeah.
Well, there was a screen, but it wasn't the.
It wasn't what you wanted it to be?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Should we be seeing the agenda now? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, if this were working right.
I just want to make sure that it's
Yeah.
working and I can
Sure.
cover it up while we're not using it. Beth, I hate to put you on the spot. This is your contraption. Do you know what I'm doing incorrectly here? Any idea?
What do you
Calling technical assistance. Phone a friend. Yeah. So I'm not sure why it would work. I'm gonna check Chris's number here.
Oh, the signal status is off.
Right. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Huh.
No signal.
Signal.
Searching. Something's happening.
That's a mighty clear picture.
Yeah, I just tried that. I don't know.
Is that another report to try?
Thank you. Huh.
So I think we're live. I'm just going to let anybody who's watching know that we're working a little bit on technology and waiting for possibly one more board member to show up so that we'll have a quorum. So please be patient with us for a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like me to go get somebody in the tech department?
No, that's okay. You have the white
The backup, the recourse here. Well, I have this one. No, it wasn't in here. Backup. How does this work?
I have it.
You have the remote? Okay. I'll try this.
Live.
Hmm?
Can you restart?
Oh, sure. Restart this?
No, yours.
My computer, sure. Yeah, I can try doing display settings here. I swapped it out with, I had one. I wasn't sure if you would have one, so
That's probably.
just in case. I can't think of a reason it wouldn't work, but oh well. Mary, would you mind calling Chris while I'll give you his number while I'm trying to troubleshoot this with Beth.
Tell me the number.
Sure. Where's this something? I thought I
I
had
was
a
going
cell
to tell
phone
you,
number.
Stacy, so yesterday, when we had our PHHS meeting, Pat Campanella was in town. She misheard the
Maybe I don't have a
announcement
cell
in
phone number.
WTOP that the
He has my
call was
cell phone number.
canceled At the county, and she didn't hear the first
Oh, here we go.
part of it, so she thought it
202?
was PHHS. So she was in town. She felt so bad.
Is this thing live all the time?
I believe during the meeting it
I don't
is,
know if you
yes.
heard her talking about that
Mm.
last night.
No,
but
I
she,
didn't.
yeah, when she came in, she was feeling so. Well, it happens,
Yeah.
you know.
I just thought, well, with weather, that was probably her issue.
Yeah, because it's a difficult road to.
Come again? No, I was trying to display setting, but I'm gonna try restarting it now. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We won't peruse the website. We have one more shot. The chair's calling Commissioner O'Brien quickly just to see
Mhm.
if he's okay or where he's at. Again, I hadn't heard anything from him, so.
Voicemail.
And I sent an email to Chris O.
Yeah, that's who we're referring to. I don't think Chris Skildum is
Mm.
coming because he's on vacation. She was
Okay.
calling Chris O'Brien to see.
Gotcha. So we've, yeah, connected with him in two fashions. Two ways.
Well, out of respect for everyone's schedule and the fact that there's another meeting in the room after this, I don't know if I can call the meeting to order without a quorum, but
Sure you
let's
can.
proceed
We
with.
just can't
yeah,
take
We just
action.
can't do things. Oh,
Right.
look here. Hold on. Hello, this is Mary. Yeah. Great, thanks. Bye. In 5 minutes, we'll have quorum.
All right, so we can pause.
Call the
Should we
meeting
wait?
order.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we should.
All right. Very good. Well, for those who are watching, you might see some people eating cake here at the table. It's the first anniversary of the HRA's first meeting, so we're having a little pumpkin cake.
Are we gonna sing happy birthday to us?
You first.
Go for it.
Okay, then, moving right along.
Colin, I think the fact that we have some cake to celebrate is reason why Mary's chair of the board. It's that kind of action that's really put her into the position that she has.
Yeah,
Thank
You
you,
know-
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. I worked the first part of my career in restaurant business, and food is always, I'm always looking for an excuse to share food with people, so. I like celebrating things, milestones. This is a big deal for us, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not sure why the projector decided to take an early Christmas vacation here. Maybe the weather is doing it. I was working last night at the EDA meeting, but nevertheless, we were going to use it to take a look at the website, so we'll just have to have you do that on your free time, I suppose.
Or we've got enough laptops, maybe we can share, you can,
Is that other port work?
Which other port, Beth?
HDMI port?
There's only one HDMI.
Oh, is the other one a USB or?
The other one's USB-B or USB-A. Did you use HDMI the other day? Huh. Same system and everything.
It seemed to be looking for something to turn that HDMI source on.
Right.
Because it was staying off. But,
I mean, it is plugged in via HDMI, so that
Yeah.
should be the thing.
yeah.
What's that?
Help? Click
Oh.
on help?
Oh,
I want to talk to a person? How do I,
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure if that'll work, but. No. It should automatically detect it, that's the interesting bit.
Yeah.
I have my computer.
that might, yeah, that might be an
I'd
option.
be happy to use, I mean, maybe it's, we both have the same kind of computer, maybe it just doesn't like mine right now, I don't know. I'd be happy to try yours.
Wants to talk to Beth.
It's Beth's system, I get it. Sorry, Epson projector.
And you're just going for like,
We're just gonna
certain
pull,
website.
yeah, just pull up our web, that's all, we're gonna look at that. That's a
to
great-
see my history.
Do you use USB-C or how do you connect?
That's how I did it last
Okay.
night is,
Maybe it's board meeting out, it said no more. Well, fine.
Oh,
Look at that.
gee whiz.
Good.
Somebody's got some clout and somebody doesn't.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you know what, actually, in the interest of letting you have this, because it's, let's see where it is on our agenda, it's further down the agenda, so I'm going to give this to you, and it works now.
I don't.
You don't need it right now?
I've got my blue one.
Okay. I will have 2 laptops for the moment. Thank you, Beth.
It was the right meeting for you to come and join us.
Yes, thank you for joining us
Yeah.
at the last minute here. I'm going to do this so that we're not blinding you, Mary, for that moment. You said Mr. Commissioner O'Brien will be here in a couple minutes. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Apparently in Hovland, Commissioner Doe said that they received about 2 feet of snow.
Mm-hmm.
And he said his driveway is about 2,000 feet long. So he has had a fun project this afternoon, which is why he's not here.
Wow.
I said that was an acceptable reason, I suppose.
He is excused.
He is excused from attending.
I don't know, the kids in Grand Portage used to get to school by sled pulled by a moose, so
Really?
I think that, I don't know, we'll have to talk to him.
No excuse.
We'll have
No, it
to,
was quite fascinating. They in the sleigh that they actually had a wood stove, and there was sand around it, and the sand would warm up, and that's how the kids kept warm.
Really? The sand dissipated
Yeah,
the
the
heat from the stove.
Historical Society had information on it. It was just amazing.
What-
And then if they got really cold, they'd get off the sleigh and run.
to keep their body temperature
Yeah.
up.
So
That sounds unpleasant. My grandmother-in-law was brought home from Crane Lake when she was born on a dog sled. She was born at a lodge because there was a visiting doctor, conveniently, and then the only way to get to their house was through dog sled or boat, and it was frozen. So that was one, that wasn't that long ago, and I think about that. I'm like, wow,
yeah.
we're very lucky. Well, Chair, while we wait, do you mind if I just bring something up that's, I sort of added to the agenda that's more of a discussion point?
sure.
Just in the interest of time. Did folks have a chance to look at the strategic plan outline that I'd sent in my director's report? And if you did you have any questions or feedback on that? I'd like to bring a final version to the board in December if possible, by the end of the year here, so.
I did look at it, and I don't have any comments other than good job capturing all that into the document.
I think you boiled down the essence, and, it was quite a long discussion, but I didn't see any issues with it. I think it's time to get this part done.
Okay. I'd ask the other, Chris and Commissioner Skillman and Doe for any feedback they had, because they couldn't be here, so they'll send it to me, but otherwise, if I don't hear anything else, I'll start putting it into a more formal document, and then we'll have that buttoned up by the end of the year. Thank you.
That's great.
What's new, Mary? What's new? Are you looking forward to the winter?
Might as well.
It's too late.
Got a 3-month-old granddaughter. Erin Snowbell. That's really neat.
I saw her the other day.
So fun to watch her be a mom.
Well, we could also take a moment to just extend our congratulations to the two county board members who are with us again, and
Welcome
look
back.
forward to
2
having
more
you.
years.
Seemed the voters were generally pretty clear in the elections.
Now, just so you're aware of the processes, we have an organizational meeting in January, and that's where we will, with our new Commissioner Deb White from District 1, reevaluate all our committee assignments and all of that. So things might be the same, they might change, but just so you're aware of that.
Great, that's in
That'll
January.
be on
you said?
January 3rd.
Okay. Is that when the meetings are set for the rest of the year, too?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome.
My apologies.
Great, glad you can make it.
No worries. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
All right, I'm now going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And just as a courtesy for all of us to keep track of our time today, we want to adjourn by 4:30 because another meeting is in the room at 5 o'clock and they need time to switch over the room for that. So I'm going to add to the agenda somewhere public comment. Should we do that right after the approval of the minutes?
Sure. That's what I was, yeah. I think so.
All right, so that said, I would look for a motion to approve the October meeting minutes.
I'll move approval of those minutes.
And I'll second that.
All right, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so confirming we have a quorum of 3, Bill, Chris, and myself. 3 of 5 are present. All right, then we'll go to public comment. And Mary Pets, I understand you're here today to share some thoughts with us. I think you need to move that microphone over, like, by yourself.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. I am happy about the mission statement that you have. I just think it really works for what our needs are in our county right now. And I come as a representative of the Grand Marais Apartments Board of Directors. I have been on that board for 10 years, I believe. And I see that we have a wonderful facility there with 16 units. It's a 2-story building. We have 4 units that are 1-bedrooms, and they only face the back, and all the other 2-bedroom units, and they're on first floor. The other units are upstairs and downstairs both, with stairways. We don't have an elevator. We tried to do that. It's way too expensive to even think about it. And the building was built in 1974, along with other apartments like that throughout the state. And we keep it pretty much fully occupied. We have some singles and a few couples or 2-people apartments that are used. We have a caretaker who we share. No, I'm sorry, forget that part. The management company is located in Fargo. We selected them well over 5 years ago. And anyway, I guess as a board member, I'm mainly concerned with being able to keep that a viable senior citizen or unit available for people that are low income as they age. And one of my main concerns, and it has been for a few years, is not being able to get enough people to be on the board. And I know you hear that all the time, I think, from other agencies and boards and so forth. But I would like some input in how you view buildings like that, such as that one and the Sawtooth Ridges and Birchwood and the Harborview Apartments, and how they come into your scope when you're thinking about doing what you're doing in providing the kind of housing that the residents need for either living in after they're retired or upon being able to work here in the county. So I guess I don't know if you do some discussion about this at all or questions, but that's pretty much what I'm here for, to have support for the building.
I just want to ask a question before we begin the discussion, and yes, we can have some conversation with you. Mary, will you please describe which building is the Grand Marais apartment
It
building?
is on Broadway, on the east side of Broadway, and it's the first big building, apartment building. It's kind of a lighter colored, looks like 4 units of a building, but it is all one building.
Is it the
and
one
it's
that's
just
right above the condominium building?
No, it's right below the Catholic Church, and then the next building below that is the Brown Building, which is Harborview Apartments. A very similar, that is a HUD building, and we are a rural development building. And then the condos are down south of Harborview.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have never been able to wrap my head around which of those buildings is which.
Okay, well, you're talking to the right person.
Thank you. I think I'll start with Bill and then Chris. Go ahead. And then-
Thanks. Well, Mary, first of all, those 4 developments are a priceless gift, not a gift exactly, because a lot of hard work went into putting them together and to maintaining them, but an asset to Cook County. And we're concerned these days, there's enough history around projects that have had subsidies or had assistance and produced low rents being taken off out of that market and put into market rate units if it's possible. And to me, that would be a big step backward. And we're trying to obviously create some new housing opportunities because we just don't have enough in Cook County, period. But those are a key asset to me and worthy of our involvement, or at least our knowledge of what's going on, and at least to the extent we can offer any help, either guidance or even money, depending on the situation. It seems to me that's one of our primary goals here.
I'd like to respond to part of that. The board, we have in our bylaws that we should have 5 board members. We have 3 active ones right now and have only had 3 for a while. The 4th person had resigned. And so we are called the owners of that building. So it would be up to us to decide whether we were going to sell the building or not sell the building. And we have no intention of doing that.
Do you have to live in the building to be a board member?
No,
Okay,
we live at Homestead.
okay.
And the caretaker does not live at the building either.
Okay.
One of the reasons for that, we have had a caretaker live there, and that was after they were in, they became caretakers, which was, it was very handy. But you can't really plan that you're going to have a caretaker, interested person living there, for one thing.
I just have an observation and then a question. The first is, just that, one of the things that you may be aware there was a housing needs study done by the EDA. That there was a housing needs study done by the EDA last year, and I think that to me it was eye-opening, in that I think that my expectation going in was that the biggest need was going to be for young working families and people working in the service industry and so forth, and And one of the things that the housing study pointed out was that given the demographics in the county, that actually one of the most, the most serious housing needs was for the market that you described, which is, aging seniors, singles and couples and low income. And so I think that the need, I think to me that study went a great way to sort of identify that need and not let us lose sight of that, the importance of that. We've also talked on the board about some of the secondary effects of creating good housing options for seniors, meaning that there's many seniors that are currently living in single-family homes, and if there's a good option for them, that they to stay in the community and take advantage of those housing options, then that may indirectly free up some new single-family homes for some of the other folks that are moving into the county. So I think that you're making very good points in terms of the importance of that market. I guess my question was just, from your vantage point, what do you see a strong demand for those properties, for those apartments as apartments come empty? Is there a long wait list for people who want to get in, or are you having to look for people? Where's the market right now for that?
There is a waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell you right now what number is on there.
Mm-hmm.
It fluctuates depending on if somebody has their name on the list and they haven't told the management company, for instance, that they've got some other housing available. And then sometimes it takes certain people quite a while to get their paperwork all done and in.
Mm-hmm.
And so leaves a unit open for a while with no
I see.
income. The income levels on that building we are allowed a certain number of low rent units. The high rent, it's not high rent at all, but the upper rents where people don't have a subsidy, which would be a third of their gross
Mm-hmm.
income, is that the rent that they would pay. Yeah. Did I finish that question?
Yes, yep, you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I had another thought here after I spent some time listening to Jason Hale's excellent presentation and to WTIP explaining primarily tax increment, but he delved into other aspects of what the HRA is trying to do. And one of the things he mentioned towards the end was that he does run into people who ask, how can I get involved in housing? What can I do? Your need for board members might be one of those places that Jason could at least mention and get them in touch with you or whoever. But that just came to me both because I just listened to the interview and now I hear the need, and maybe there's a match there.
Thank you. Is that a recent interview? Or
Yeah, within the last
Thursday last
10
week, I
days
think.
or so,
Oh,
yeah.
that's recent.
Yeah.
I will pick that up, too.
Yeah, it's on the WTAP website.
Lots of good stuff there.
Yeah. Another thought that I had about the need for board members, I don't know if we can share the names, but maybe it's public information. There were like 13 or 19 or some number of people that applied to be on the HRA board. And I wonder if any of them might be interested in helping you out with your need for board members. How could Mary pursue that?
Mary can't access that, we don't have that permission, but anyone here on the board can contact those individuals
Okay.
and could say, if you're interested, contact Mary if you're willing to give your phone number or email
Oh,
address.
definitely, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a note of that. This is, okay. And then, before we go to Jason, Stacy and Ann, commissioners, do you have anything you'd like to share with Mary?
I just feel what you have described is the need that was confirmed by the survey that was done by the EDA. And definitely we have, aging population, more and more people that are not able to care for their properties and are looking to move into apartments, that demand is only going to increase. So, like you say, we think oftentimes in our heads, right away it comes to our mind, people working in the service area or young families looking for housing, but there are also lots of senior citizens that are looking for different housing, and that opens it up to families.
Yes.
So,
There are, I understand, a lot of elderly people in the county that have been here, like me, forever, and just wanting to be able to have that kind of a place to live until they can't live there anymore. And so it's not just bringing in people from somewhere else that want to live here, or maybe they're even working. You have to be, I believe, 55 in order to live there. But that's a good point.
yeah, and people want to stay here in this community. They don't want to, just because they're aging, have to move to Duluth or move to Two Harbors or the Twin Cities.
Right.
They would like to stay here and
Their
age in
families
place.
are here. That helps.
Precisely.
Yes.
Commissioner Hawkins?
I agree with everything that's been said. Nothing new to
Thanks,
add.
Stacy. Yeah.
Okay. Jason?
I have a couple questions if I could, just for clarity's sake. Mary, you said that there are 3 board members presently, and you're called the owners?
Yes.
But you don't actually own the property, or?
No.
Okay.
No stipend for being on the board either.
Okay. So one of my questions is, you said this is a rural development property. My assumption is it's a USDA
Yes,
program.
USDA.
And I assume it was built in the 80s sometime.
Pardon?
Sorry, I assume it was
Here.
built in the 80s or in that ballpark.
What about the 80s?
It was built in the 80s.
74.
74. Oh, is that old? Okay.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
So I'm conflating the properties to the Harbor View and the. So the reason I'm asking is because it depends. So I've been working with some colleagues and other interested parties on the Birchwood Apartments. Similar conversation we're having about how do we maintain affordability to ensure it continues to stay affordable and viable. And the same property managers that managed Grand Marais Apartments manage them now. It's a recent change. So been work. The NIDA, the North Dakota group that manages Grand Marais Apartments, also manages Birchwood Apartments now. And the reason I mention it is just because I've been learning a little bit about that housing stock we have in the community, and I obviously agree with all of the commissioners here that it's it's way easier and way more practical to preserve what already exists than trying to build something new in that space. The rents on some of these are $500 a month or 30% of the income. And part of the reason that the age is relevant is because, one, it means the buildings are old and tired a lot of the time, and 2, it means that they were built and they're probably paid off, where building them today would be an exorbitant amount of money. So I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just corroborating that it's really important if we can try to maintain these properties as affordable. One of the questions I have is, who are the owners, and how long is this property supposed to be maintained as affordable? Because as these conversations are happening about these various buildings in town, they're all a little different, when they were built, how they were funded, how long the affordability terms are. What I've heard is no one intends to change them. Like, for example, Birchwood was built in '91, I think, and there's a 50-year affordability mortgage on it. So there's another 20-plus years where they have to maintain it as affordable. So we have a little time, so to speak, with that one. My question is, for Grand Marais or Harborview, do you know that they're looking to change hands, or is that not a conversation?
No, it's not part of the conversation. The building was originally mortgaged, and we re-upped that mortgage for a very good rate a few years ago, so we could borrow money against it to do improvements.
Sure.
And one of our board members, Lori Spry, has done extensive work in securing funds, grants, and so forth for this building. And we were able, in our most recent update, to put a fire system, fire alarm,
Sprinklers, yeah.
the water sprinkler.
Sprinklers.
System.
Well,
Yeah.
sprinkler system, sorry, into the building, which never has had to been used, and so I hope it won't be, but it's there, so it's updated that way. The building is painted properly, and outside is properly sided and guttered and roofed, and all these things they're updated regularly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mary, is it a nonprofit corporation that owns the building?
It's nonprofit, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
You're board members of the nonprofit.
Pardon me?
You are board members of the nonprofit, the three of you.
Well, maybe I'm misunderstanding. I'm a board member of the board, but it's definitely nonprofit, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, I can't answer if it has those little numbers after it or not.
So the owners are a nonprofit, but then you said the board you're on is called the owners, but you're not really the owners?
We're the owners, period. There's nobody else that has any say on that building. There's nobody that, in the beginning, I think people donated money and, were able to start the building and get it going and have a mortgage on it and so on. But the board since then has always been called the owners of the building.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So, Mary, who would, do the owners have the legal right to sell the building, or what's the,
I think we would,
okay.
but I don't,
Yes, but not in the plans,
No,
obviously.
not
But
planned.
I'm just trying to
I
understand.
guess I haven't seen anything where it is that we can't sell it.
Mhm.
And I have original documents, I could peruse that a little bit better, but it's a while since I have done that.
But it sounds like that's,
No, but that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Those original documents and the bylaws are something that
We
should
have
be
those,
looked
yeah.
at,
yeah.
definitely. That might allow us to give you some answers or some support in some way, or some kind of guidance if we could look at the documents at some point.
Well, I like the idea of asking your comrades about being able to see if they want to be considered for being on the board also.
Mhm.
I'll
So-
tell you the truth, I've been on boards in Cook County for over 40 years, and it's like, I'm ready to retire. So I wouldn't be on the board very long after we got new replacements that knew what was going on, so I'll be honest about that.
Your succession planning, that's smart.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that we're generally trying to understand is, so there were two parts to the conversation. There's finding additional board members, and I think we've discussed maybe some routes we can pursue to do that.
start,
And then the other piece is ensuring these properties maintain their affordability.
yes.
And so that's, obviously, that just becomes a more complicated and complex conversation depending on ownership and rights and mortgages and how long they're supposed to be, all of those things, and it depends very property specific. So I can tell you from my perspective what the HRA can do in those positions, and what we're kind of doing now with Birchwood is working with the ownership group. I had a conversation with them last week. They're open to selling to someone who can maintain its affordability, but with distressed properties, it's a whole nother ballgame of finding acquisition and rehab funds in one fell swoop. So I won't dig into those weeds, but the point is, I think one of the things we can do is act as a facilitator for those folks, making connections with developers or interested parties. But of course, that's only if the sale is going to happen. If it's going to continue to be maintained as affordable, then there's nothing there's nothing for us to do per se. If there's a risk of those properties being sold and converted to another type of product, then I think we can step in and try to work with them to maintain that somehow.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to be clear about maybe what we can and can't do in this kind of situation.
Yeah, I knew they didn't have a board like ours, and I knew they were a different situation, but I wasn't aware that they were trying to sell either, but that's not a surprise. And I know that we definitely probably couldn't even consider selling until we would get these encumbrances with mortgages paid off that are through the government. Yeah, so just to keep it the way it is, but with more board members, I guess is what our whole board would appreciate. One of the board members doesn't live here. I believe he has property here, but he's in Cook County a lot. But he was on the part of the construction company that refurbished the building so fully, just the most recently. So he's a very helpful person to have on the board.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we put something on our website that lets people know that this group is looking for board members as kind of a public service announcement or something like that?
I could do What if we did something a little general that was like get involved, and then we had opportunities where people, and we could list like become a board member at Grand Marais Apartments, or if there were other things where people could plug in. It's just at least a platform for people to see. Would that be
Right.
okay if we put something like?
Yes, it would be, yes.
Okay.
Lori and I wrote a As We See It column, maybe within the last 2 years in the Cook County paper, describing the, kind of the history of the building and so on and so forth, and then seeking board members, and we've been seeking board members for years, advertising and asking, and we're still where we are.
Maybe try a call into WTIP and see if you could go on the air and tell this story. Maybe somebody would hear it on the radio.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions for us, Mary?
No, I really appreciate you listening and thinking about this, so thank you.
Thanks for coming in to talk to us about it.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and thank you for your service to the community and serving on that board and all the other boards that you are on.
Like you all have.
Hey, right.
Yeah, I'd like to just stay and finish the meeting with you and listening, so
Sure.
thanks.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move to new business. The next item on our agenda is, Jason's going to tell us about the partnership with the EDA on on to Iron Range Resources.
Oh, is it thunder? No, you're fine. Thank you, Chair. Well, we've been talking for a while, of course, about the potential multifamily project up the way, a few blocks up the road here, and Mary and I have. Mary's been well aware of, well, for her in her past life, the opportunities through the IRRR and their ability to help with infrastructure funding here. So the short version is, we have this multifamily project is picking up some steam, and we're hopeful to get on the calendar to start in the spring. We're crossing all of our fingers, toes, and et cetera. But part of that is, of course, securing the resources to make it possible, and IRRR is one of those partners. They have an application that for community infrastructure grant funds, and so I submitted a pre-application last week. I believe it was received. The EDA is a partner because the IRRR prefers to do all of its business or grant programs through the EDA in Cook County. They just like to have one entity. So they requested that we continue that relationship, and the EDA was gracious enough to say, sure. So I have put together the materials, and I'm doing the applications and so on, the background work, and then the Director Drost will polish it and click submit for the application. So it was brought to the EDA board last night because we needed a formal resolution of approval to apply for, and if selected, receive the funds. And that was passed unanimously. So now I just wanted to, we don't need a formal approval from the HRA, but because the EDA is doing that formal piece, but I wanted to bring it to the board, let you know the intent here, answer any questions. I can, just for a little bit of detail, the applications for $500,000 to help with earthwork and utility work for the site. As you may know, the gap is significant in the project, and with interest rates at 8% now for their mortgage, it's not going down. So we're bringing all the resources we can think to bring this project here. So yeah, if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer.
I would only add that the application would be on the agenda for the IRRR
Yes, thank you.
board on December,
20th, they're still landing on a date.
in December.
Correct,
Yeah.
and just a note, thank you, Chair. Part of the reason we're trying to do it now is because we have, elections occurred. Commissioner Phillips is done at the end of the year, and the IRRR was encouraging us, they have some funds, and they encourage us to apply in this grant round. So we're kind of putting it all together for next month.
One question was can you just walk through the selection of the ask for the 500,000? Does that match the cost of the earthworks, or is that the maximum you can ask for, or what was the thinking behind the ask?
Thanks for the question, Commissioner. There was conversation, IRRR was up last week or the week before, I can't recall, and we met at the office and talked through it. That was their recommendation, is a good amount to apply for. It seems that they don't usually fund more than that amount.
Got it. Okay.
In addition to that, the earthwork costs exceed $500,000. So we're not actually concerned about having enough costs for the,
no,
unfortunately. But that's why.
Got it.
Any other questions about this?
I'd move our support for the application and our appreciation to the EDA for carrying the water for us here.
Is that,
It's,
wow, I don't know what's going on. A motion of support. Is there a second?
I'll second that. I think it's good
And
work,
all
Jason.
those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. All right, excuse me.
Do you want another pumpkin bar? Would that help you?
Oh,
I missed the history.
keep trying drinking water, but, yes,
You're like, great, I don't know.
all
I
right.
like your approach.
Then we'll move on to the additional ARPA request.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief with this, too. I wanted to, so the county received, you may have read or recalled, the county received an additional allotment of American Rescue Plan Act funds, and actually some of, proportionally the biggest in the state. We're very fortunate. So I've been talking with the county administrator about county plans for that, and of course, they don't have, there are allowed uses that came with the allocation of funds. Of course, housing is one of those things, and of course, my job is to build housing. So I'm going to be going back to the county board to make a request, and in particular because we have 3 projects in the fire right now that look like their potential for next year. All of them are underwater and need the assistance. And the project, the multifamily project that I referred to is, at this point, it's a 51-unit mixed income project. And I don't have to tell you how expensive it is to build those now. So having said that, I can very quickly and easily point to where these funds would fill gaps to make these projects possible. And so I'm going to go back to the county board and request an additional allotment for specific project costs. And I wanted to get your feedback on that and then answer any questions. And if nothing else, make sure you're aware that that is underway.
One question with the, will there be any covenants tied to the ARPA money that would say that, with regards to affordability of rents? Are there any conditions that would be applied that would come with the additional ARPA monies for the housing, for the specific housing project?
For additional ARPA monies?
No, for these ARPA monies. In other words, if there's additional
Oh.
public monies that are used to pay for a portion of the project,
I see.
is that contingent on certain number of the 51 units being, having rent caps on them or something? Yeah.
Sure. So good question. Thank you, Commissioner. The answer for example, in the multifamily structure I was talking about, that there is an affordability requirement that's going to be per statute if we pursue tax increment financing, and that's going to be the baseline affordability requirement. The ARPA funds itself have their own parameters, but this is what's the best way to
You answered my question.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay. Then we'll move right along to the financial report, and we have check for FAA. What is FAA?
Yes, and I apologize. Some of you have, a lot has happened in the last week since I set the agendas out, and there was a lot of plates spinning, and I wasn't sure what would make it. And this made it, so I'm adding it just quickly. The financial assistance application, we received a check for $2,500 from P&R Properties, the developer looking at the multifamily site. And so we've started the formal process with Ellers to look at the project and the pro forma.
So we received that from the developers.
Correct.
For this, okay.
That's excellent. I was
Excellent.
trying to work out something at the airport.
Oh, yeah, sorry, there's a lot of acronyms in government. I should have thought about that.
I don't know.
I know.
Housing at the airport, maybe that's a.
Hey, maybe that would work.
Venture.
Is that for your plane ticket to go on vacation?
You know, surprisingly, it's a lot more expensive to fly out of Grand Marais than it is Minneapolis.
Yeah.
One other note that didn't make it on here, I just received just a very small financial update. There was an invoice today from Sundew Technologies for helping do the domain for the website for $42. So that'll be on the
Perfect.
reflected. That's it for.
Other than that, we're on track to end the year as we've been projecting all along.
I believe so.
So, very good. Then, the director's report. The December meeting is right before Christmas, is that?
I believe so. Well, let's see. the December meeting, it's the, 1, 2, 3, it'd be the 21st. So I wanted to check with the board to make sure if, well, one, if folks are going to be available, or if you wanted to move that to the previous week, or what's most convenient with the holidays.
Just for myself, I'll be in town, and that works fine for me.
Our plans are kind of fluid right now, but it might be an idea if other people could make it to move it up a week to the previous week.
To the 14th?
Yeah, but it's,
That works for me also, so.
That's what is this,
This-
Wednesday, the second Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
We could do that just to be sure that
Okay.
everyone would be free to make their holiday plans and not have to concern ourselves about
Yeah.
a quorum.
Yep.
December 14th.
What do we
At-
have to do to publish a notice of
Well,
that?
and you should check for availability of the room.
Yeah.
That would be my next step, is to connect with April and the county and see if it's, one, available, and if it is, obviously update the, so that it's published in time to make sure that we're noticed.
Yeah,
We have enough time now. I just want to make sure that that's available, so.
okay.
So assuming that it is available, and assuming that we can notice it in time, any issues with the 14th, or it sounds like?
Oh, actually, I had another question about a December meeting.
Do you?
And this, now that I recognize this is our anniversary meeting,
Because I have one before and
the
one
commissioners
after,
were
so
appointed
it'll
for
work.
1 to 5 year
Okay.
terms, and somebody was appointed for 1 year. I don't know who that was, Chris Gilden maybe?
I think it was
or-
Commissioner Doe,
Or
actually.
Commissioner Doe. Did they need to be
Oh, I think it
reappointed?
was Skildum, because he
Oh, you're right,
asked
I
us about
apologize,
that,
right?
right?
It was Skildum, yep.
So I'm assuming it needs county board action to appoint a new, or the same, or a new director.
Thank you for bringing
Probably
that
before
up.
the December
Or just
meeting.
renew the term, because
Do we
did
do
let
it?
Our bylaws.
You make a
said that.
recommendation,
And the county
Okay.
board approves or does not.
correct.
Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion to recommend to the county board to renew the appointment of Commissioner Skildum for whatever is the appropriate term according to the bylaws.
I would want to check with Commissioner Skildum if that's, I mean,
Yeah.
he may or may not.
I think
No,
we
we
need-
are not going to.
He's being volunteered, I understand.
And the other thing is to keep
Well,
in mind
We'll be competing.
rotation,
And
so
I
that
think
not
it's-
all the board members
right.
are going off. So
That's right.
keep in mind how you're going to proceed with.
And I think the idea was, now it would be a 5-year term for somebody appointed.
so.
Correct.
The renewal.
All right,
And-
so we'll check the bylaws and we'll check with Commissioner Skildum. Can we do something today like, upon his agreement, can we say then the recommendation should go forward? So there's no gap between now and our next meeting, and we don't,
Well, I don't think it really matters.
As long as we vote on it by the end of the year, and
Yeah,
we
'cause
have
we have more
a county
meetings.
board meeting on the 20th of December.
okay.
So that would give us time to get
So
it
we
in.
would meet on the 14th, and you could put it on the agenda for the 20th?
Right, we'd need that to get to, on the agenda by actually the 15th, so it can be published on the
You'll
16th.
probably know the answer if he's going to say yes or no.
Yeah.
Way before that.
But it'll be
Yeah.
a quick turnaround, but we can do it.
Okay, I will check with Commissioner Skildum. Honestly, I suspect that he'll decline because it's a 5-year term and he's busy building houses. But if he says yes, fantastic, then it sounds like we'll make that recommendation on the 14th. If he says no, then of course, board members would
Start
have to-
calling
Right.
people that had submitted their applications before, perhaps.
We might
Or
have the
do
same
we have
problem,
to
Mary.
publish a notice?
You would have to publish a notice, that's correct.
Yeah, we can't just call people and
No.
ask them. We have
But
to
you can
publish
let
it.
them know it's open, and if they're interested.
All
To
right.
submit it.
Because there was a high level of interest.
Yeah. All right, so we'll follow
We can work on that.
through on that.
Sure.
Thank you for reminding us, Bill. I thought of it the other day, and it escaped before I wrote it down.
It triggered, the pumpkin cake triggered my memory. So
Anniversaries.
that was a health benefit for what you brought.
Very good. All right, and we briefly discussed the strategic plan before we called the meeting to order. That Commissioner Gabler and I agreed that it was well done, and it's ready to be put on our next agenda for approval by the board.
Great.
Unless you have any other comments or changes at this time,
I do
Commissioner
not.
O'Brien? All right, then we'll go to the website review.
I think we know it worked earlier.
Uh-oh. Now it's really sleeping.
There we go. I think I just needed to let it warm up for a moment.
Okay, so while we
Well,
wait for
right.
that, then why don't you share with us about your dates out of the office?
Yes, I just wanted to let folks know I will be out the 22nd through the 2nd. My wife and I had plans to go to Portugal in April of 2020, and for obvious reasons, we did not go. So we have been looking for another opportunity, and this seemed as good as any. So,
Sounds wonderful.
yeah, we're very much looking forward to it. I will be 8 hours ahead of you if you need something, and I may or may not answer your call, depending on what's going on.
As long as you don't call us.
I will not be calling you.
Okay, you're live up there.
Great.
There we go.
Okay, so folks, I'd included in the director's report, obviously, that this was done and it's been launched. CookCountyHRA.org. Folks have been sharing this. I'm very grateful for that. I just wanted to go through it quick, and as you please share it as you feel inclined to do so. And if you have any recommendations for content like the maybe get involved idea and opportunities like that, please let me know. We can add it. So I can control the back end of this, the content. So we're not working with a third party. I just need to know, and I'll make the changes.
Great.
And this reflects the.
What photo is that?
I took it off of the dock in Hoveland,
Yeah.
so that I didn't have to steal anybody's pictures.
Chicago Bay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So at some point, the person who owns this house is going to say, "Hey, wait a second, that's my house."
Well, that, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. Well, it's intellectual property that I own because it's my photo. So I don't think it'll be. I've never had an issue with that. If they didn't like it, we could always change it with another house.
Yeah, there's other.
There are other houses. Yep. But mission, vision, and values, and then what I'm going to do here is I'll link the strategic plan to learn more, so that'll pop up and folks can read to their heart's content. Efforts, there's more coming soon here as soon as we have formal announcements on things. The media and meetings. So
Oh, terrific.
yeah, I've been.
That's great.
Adding, these are hyperlinks, so if anybody clicks them, it will bring them to the website where the article is published. And if I miss any, if board members see anything in the paper or wherever, please send them to me and I will put them on here. There's another one on North Shore Journal that I need to link that was out this last week.
The only suggestion there might be to put, in the hyperlink, put a date.
Oh, sure. So people know how recent or not it is. Thank you.
It could even just be month, year.
Yeah, I might just do
Are you
that.
trying to find places to talk about the group, you said?
Come again?
Are you trying to find places to talk about this group?
No, places that news has been published, and then we would link that onto this website.
How about Northern Wild?
I don't think
I
we've
don't think I've seen
been.
anything in there. But again, if I miss it, please let me know. It has to be electronic in some form so that we can link it.
Right.
But, so I'm just, when I know, like obviously if I do an interview or we have something come out or be released, then I'll link that here.
Did you put on there the one, didn't you do one with Twin Cities Public Television or
PBS?
PBS? Is that on here?
No, it was, no, it wasn't. But I certainly should. Thank you. See, that's why I'm asking. That's great. Add PBS. That was a housing sort of special about Cook County, so that might be interesting for folks. I just have here the link. The county is continuing to host our meetings materials, and that's been working well. So for now, I think we talked about it last meeting. We're going to continue that. And also, I've tried to optimize this for cell phone. There might be some formatting issues, but people can pull it up and do the same thing on their cell phones. So yeah, we'll have calendar here, and then this will bring to the meeting agenda and packets. There was a calendar that was on this originally, and it doesn't play very nicely, and you can't, yeah, it didn't work. It wasn't built for what we were trying to do for it. Resources. So if you ever have any, if there are ever topics, and I actually have this here, other topics, to people, I want to encourage the public, if they have questions or specific housing things that they think that would be interesting to have on here. If, you know, I get it from a few people, then I can find a credible and maybe useful source and put it on here for people to learn more. But I'm trying to provide some baseline, and then like this goes to the League of Minnesota Cities, I believe, provides a whole bunch of different topics for folks about local assistance.
Is the ADU graphic, is that just a placeholder, or was it what was the?
It was a placeholder, but then we also talk, ADUs as a category here.
Yeah.
So this is just all, you know, the general 6 types of ADUs that we could talk about. We could swap that out with another photo, but I wanted something educational related. So if you have a recommendation, I'd be happy to take it.
Yeah.
Resources, again, we're working on building this out. I'm actually working with Public Health and Human Services. We're compiling a list of county-wide resources from contractors to weatherization, et cetera. In talking with them, we kind of decided to have the HRA's version of the resources be really housing explicit, so that otherwise it gets a little too overwhelming and muddled. So in other words, we're not going to have like light bulb replacement resources. Like CCLEP has that well underway, and Kat and I were talking about it too. So we're kind of compiling a master list of resources that we'll publish in the county, but this is going to be very housing specific. And some people have already actually come and I sent this out to a bunch of people who came to mind, who were talking with me, and some of them are applying for some of these. So it's great. That's the intent.
Awesome.
One thought. Just if people are just looking to get up on it, you might have a link under state of other Minnesota HRAs.
For
if people just wanted just a link to the webpage for other examples. I don't know.
I could put it under education. I hesitate to give them under resources if they can't provide anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Would that be okay if I put it under here as HRA?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is an HRA, or where?
Sure.
Or something on other Minnesota HRAs.
Great.
We joined Minnesota NARO.
Yep.
We did. Yeah.
Maybe we can link to that on here.
That's great. Thank you for reminding me.
Good source.
NARO is the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Organizations.
Indeed it is. Another acronym. Great. I will add that to the education piece. Thank you. Otherwise, as you know, there's the explaining of what we do. So this is Harborview, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I got them straight now. And that's the condos. Again, I took the photos, so I think that should be just fine. Yes, otherwise, and then just the current board members from the photos folks sent.
And okay. I'll hold my question until you go to the next one.
Yep. Otherwise, I'm trying, like the housing study is available under resources, and can also, if it's talked about, people can hyperlink it. And then the last thing is just, if people have any questions or comments to submit it here.
So now I'm going to go back to the board members. Should we have contact information for the board members on here? We need to ask the board members if they're agreeable to that, but.
Well, I think in the sense that we represent districts, it probably is okay. It would help, if somebody
At least
looks
our
at this
email address,
Yeah.
maybe
Email
not
is
our
what
phone.
Email is what I
Just
would
email
recommend.
address.
I mean,
I'm
And I
happy
would
to have them
confirm
contact
with
you.
Commissioners Doe and Skildum, who are not here today, and make sure that they're in agreement with that.
Yes, I will wait to, if they have issue, I will hold off until we have a chance to talk about it as a group.
Yeah.
But if they're okay, then I will add email addresses under names. Any other feedback, thoughts, changes?
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Really nice.
boy.
Great.
And the fact that you're.
And look
fact
at
that you own it
Lawrence,
and
he's
can change it
working
is-
in the
is-
snow, which is what he's doing right now.
Is that
I started with Wix, and
When
it's
he
actually a
flashed
little,
by
this is
that, I thought
Squarespace.
maybe he had a shotgun in his
That's why some of the
hand or
things don't
something
play well.
there
It's meant to sell
before I could
products.
see what
We're
it
trying to
really
sell
was.
the housing authority, so a little, yeah.
Sell,
Yeah, exactly, we're always selling something.
Sell expertise.
That's,
Jason?
Yep.
If you go back to the board pictures, is that like a live shot of Commissioner Doe cleaning his driveway right now?
yes, it was just taken about 20 minutes. No, this is him skiing. He wanted to.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
He's in the snow.
He's in the snow. Yep.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you. That's all. I just wanted to go over that and see if
Yeah,
there's
that's
any
great.
questions or.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
when I first heard, when we started talking about a website, it brought it up and somebody said $35,000. And here we are with a website with a lot of thanks to Jason and his wife for putting it together. And
It was $500, I think. was
keeping
the
us
annual.
well within our budget.
Yeah.
If we can save money, let's save money.
Yeah.
And many thanks to your wife.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, she's been
She
very
can
helpful.
have this piece of cake.
Oh, why, thank you. Yeah. Sweetheart, would you like some 3-hour-old cake by the time I get home? Okay. Thank you.
It's a poor gesture of our
I don't know.
appreciation.
No, she geeks out over it.
Oh,
She
it's
looks at-
great.
yeah, she's great. Okay.
All right, then, the December 7th City Council meeting?
Yes.
Grand Marais City
Sorry, there was
Council.
one more thing that slipped in. So because I'm going to be out in a very inconvenient time, we're trying to get the application to IRRR done by the end of the week. I just got the Alta survey draft back today.
Oh, good.
So that I can bring it, the final resolution to council on the 7th to request the property conveyance. I suspect that they will, I talked with Administrator Roth this week. I think there will be some questions, of course, and there will be probably some desires to talk about conditions on the property, et cetera. So, one, I wanted to make the board aware of it and ask if anyone is able to attend in solidarity or support for the project. I would be more than welcome, you'd be more than welcome to join, just to be there on the behalf of the HRA. Again, this is for the acreage on the Gunflint at 5th, and it's been a several-month-long conversation now. But I have drafted the resolution and submitted it to the city administrator with a legal description. Now it's going to go for actual vote on the 7th.
And the city council meetings, that it will be a Wednesday, and those meetings are at 6:30 PM at City Hall.
Correct.
Great.
So if we can be there, we should. Okay. And did you have any other items, Jason, that slipped in after you printed the agenda at 2:45?
Yeah, I apologize. Probably, Chair, but I'll leave it alone.
Good for now?
Yes. Were there any questions about I didn't get anything but from the director's report. I know there was a lot on there as well. I just want to make sure
That's very
Good.
helpful.
Okay. Great.
Oh, right, the written director's report.
Right.
Those are always amazing. Okay, well, that brings us to commissioner items. And the one that's published here is for me to talk about the year one recap. And so for those of you watching, you've heard us talking about pumpkin cake. I brought everyone a little piece of cake to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of our first meeting, which was in November of 2021. And the board began to meet and work on the mission statement and the vision and those kinds of things. Generally talk amongst ourselves how we were going to work together. I think we did bylaws, all the organizational things that you do as a new organization. And then it got really interesting in April. We hired Jason, and we learned more things about new organizations, like, we don't have a phone number. Oh, we don't have a credit card, so we can't get a phone number. But it all got done. And here we are, only 1 year later, and we're talking about the likelihood of a multifamily project breaking ground in the next construction season. Absolutely phenomenal. Truly amazing. And I want to thank the board members
Yes.
and the commissioners, everyone, for your commitment of your time and your energy and your passion for this work. But really, truly lift up Jason and thank you.
Thank you.
We are so, so grateful that you're here and that you brought with your package of knowledge and background and experience and brought that to the Cook County community. And
I'm happy to be, thank you for the cake.
We're gonna have some. How about you cake every day?
No, thank you, please don't do that. I'm very
All right.
optimistic, and it's been a wonderful and fast and furious 7 months. I can't believe it's been almost 7 months. It's crazy. And I think I've told the chair before, if the things that we're working on actually come to fruition, if all of them were to happen, we'd be in big trouble.
Oh,
They won't. I'm not jinxing them, but the odds are very unlikely. But it's a pleasure to work with this community. So it's been really a learning experience. But I'm really excited about, even despite the chaos of the market right now and the interest rates, I'm still optimistic about Cook County. So we're going to keep pushing ahead until we can't.
Yeah, I'm struck that it's I've been impressed to observe you in action, and that I think you have very much a sort of a developer's mindset where it's seemingly chaotic, and that there's 4, 5, 6, 7 different projects or leads going on at once by necessity, because because the probability that any one of them is going to close is limited. But so it can be a chaotic thing to explain exactly where we are and to measure progress. But I think I think that comes from your experience as a developer and working with developers and really understanding that that's really the formula for success. I mean, not trying to plan everything, to emphasizing doing over getting the perfect plan in place. And so I think the results are very impressive.
Bill.
Okay, well, knock wood.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'll be impressed when it's built, Chris. I'm hopeful, but we'll see.
I'd just like to point out, after a lot of consideration and talking at various meetings, our board came up with 3 values that we want to act by. One is inclusion, one is integrity, and what Jason has really brought is action. And that has been most gratifying to me, that within 9 months of Jason's being here, or 10 months, 8 months, whatever it is, we can see action on the horizon in real terms. And that's, I think, a credit not just to the board, but to Jason, and to the board for hiring Jason. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we done good.
Yes, we did.
We'll see when shovels on the ground. I will celebrate. Until then, I will
Well, yeah,
be optimistic cautiously.
yeah.
But thank you again. It's been fun, and it will be more fun. The most fun is to see people honestly move into houses. That's the most fun. So I'm hopeful.
I was going to add that one of the most gratifying experiences for me is when I happen to be traveling through Lutzen to see lights on in those apartments when I go by on the highway. And sometimes I go out of my way to drive up by Nordic Star, where the homes are here in Grand Marais, and see kids' bikes parked out in the yard and little basketball hoops, and it's a great blessing to know that you helped provide people with homes. It is. That's why we work so hard.
Yes, that is the goal.
Yeah.
And one other, just real quick comment. I think I had 1 meeting today, and I have 3 tomorrow with citizens and groups who are looking to solve this problem in different scales and different reasons. But I just say that's a testament to this community and the desire, the recognition that this is a thing that needs to be tackled, and the willingness to try to get in the mix somehow. And a lot of people just don't have the roadmap, so my hope is that we as the HRA can help provide the roadmap and be a funnel for those conversations and that energy. And I'm already seeing it happen, and I think as we get it more established and we get things under our belts, I think that will be a role we continue to play, is championing things and convening groups. So,
Yeah, I was at a meeting the other night for one of those groups, and they had cited the HRA as being an effective catalyst for a lot of the work that they're looking to do to get some political support in place for their own projects. So I think that the HRA is having a good catalytic effect, even beyond the direct projects that we're directly working on.
that's the hope.
I think we'd also be remiss if we didn't recognize the role of the Cook County Board in creating this agency and funding it. Unanimous votes. It really shows, again, it kind of gets back to the community we're living in here, and so thanks to the board for your leadership and getting us here. We wouldn't be here without you. I say that to the lifeguards at the pool. At the I always thank them because we couldn't be in the pool if they weren't here, but we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, so thanks.
And I'd like to invite the commissioners to share their thoughts if they have any to share.
Well, I am just thankful. You know, I was the skeptical one when this first started being talked about.
How are you doing now?
And I am just so excited and so proud. This is one of the things I could say, yeah, I was wrong and I'm happy I was wrong. And you guys, I'm just so happy this board is working so well and you hired the right guy to do this. So.
Thank you.
I do have one question though.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about the Step Up. I think
Yes.
that's what we called it now.
Yes.
Step Up campaign. And
Stepping Up
have
for Housing.
any funds come in from that yet?
Yes, so thank you for asking. Stepping up, oh,
I have mail for you.
we may have a check.
We'd like to ask Vanna White to bring the check.
We can get it afterward, that's fine.
Later.
Yeah, thank you.
Check is in the car.
It's in our P.O. box, just now.
Oh, great. Well, I might have a different update in 10 minutes. But for now, actually, so Odyssey Resorts was one of the groups that came together to do this. They have had to, as they put it, sort of take a pause and pump the brakes on their involvement for the moment. They have to figure out, there's some legal questions about how they put it on bills and how and work amongst their different entities to do that. So they haven't said we're not going to participate. They've just said we've got to figure out the best way for us to do that. So in the meantime, Steve Serbaugh from CVR and I, we have met with the folks who own the Cascade Lodge and now Cliff Dweller, and then I think there's one other property they were looking at. Talk to them about the initiative. Steve is following up with them about that, and then Steve is going to arrange some additional meetings with some folks in that industry. But CVR it's on they're doing it. So they started last month. Maybe that's the check, I don't know. But they're voluntarily doing it, and we're going to continue to have those conversations. And I'm letting Steve, of course, drive those conversations, and we're just there in a support capacity. So. And you might know Steve's a pretty busy guy. But so far the reception, there's been a lot of interest in wondering about how exactly this will work and total recognition that it's necessary in some version. So.
Thank you
Yep.
for the update.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
And I'm just pleased that we've been able to not only gather data to show to everyone that we do have a need. We all felt we had a need, but we've collected what we need to move forward getting funding. And I just applaud Jason for all his knowledge. He is guiding us down this pathway. And, you know, next spring, those shovels are going to be in the ground. I was thinking I have a shovel on my car, but I don't think it's for dirt. But I'm just really looking forward to that, and what a celebration that will be for our whole community. For decades, we've needed this, and it's finally going to happen, you know, so.
Please show up on December 7th at City Council. So
I think we'll come back from AMC and go straight to City Hall.
Great.
Great.
Thank you, Commissioners.
In support of Commissioner Sullivan's comments, the data came to us through the EDA. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that study was done by the EDA in their ongoing support of the development of housing in the county and the ongoing partnership between the two entities, for example, with the IRRR grant that we talked about earlier. And remind everyone that in the back room where the EDA office used to be, are 6 golden shovels that we can bring out in the spring.
In City Hall somewhere?
Yep.
What was the history of that? When were those purchased?
They're just number 10 whatever, spade shovels,
right.
spray painted gold.
Got it, okay.
And
I
we
get it.
used them for the groundbreaking at the apartments and the one-roof houses.
Got it,
And
okay.
we should remember to take them out if we get going at Sawtooth Flats, or whatever it's going to be called as it goes
I
forward.
think that's the name.
I like
They
it,
liked
flats. I like having some flats in town. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty cool.
So they're on board with it if we're okay with it.
All right. Very good. Anything else for the meeting today?
Move adjournment.
A motion to adjourn and a second, and all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Tell Tim we beat his deadline by 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's plenty of
Not
time.
yet.
Even though you couldn't convene,
Eh,
even though you didn't have a quorum until
Is,
until 3:15.
we're still on,
Yes, I believe we're still on.
so April has to do something.
Yep.
But we can talk. I'll come.